Hi, beautiful seekers, and welcome to our moon magic for the Capricorn full moon on June 24th. We are going to be getting into topics of self-parenting, sense of security, of self trust, and also creativity, and how all of these things are interlinked. And this moon is going to be helping us to bridge the gap between our perceived dichotomy around being creative, free-spirited, and being reliable, because there is a cultural dichotomy around these two things. And I think this full moon offers us healing in this moment. So this full moon comes, I think, at a really nice time. It is overall a supportive, nourishing full moon. We're not talking about a lot of harsh aspects and squares and things like that, like we've been seeing a lot over the last month or so. We are culminating and closing out eclipse season. So we just went through 2 eclipses. So this full moon kind of helps us illuminate, see what we have learned. It's also happening 2 days after Mercury stations direct. So you can kind of see how this is one of those full moons that is in a position to allow us to reflect and to see ourselves fully for who we are, how we've changed, where we want to be going next. And this is a very visionary moon. Now, I think that's interesting, right, to call the Capricorn full moon visionary, because the Capricorn Cancer axis, which we are activating here with the sun newly in Cancer at 3 degrees and the moon, its ruling planet, Cancer's ruling planet, in Capricorn at 3 degrees. This is the axis that has to do with security, with our inner parenting, with our inner mother-father dialogue, with the places that help us feel loved, nourished, nurtured, and like when we consistently show up in life. So this full moon does activate that energy. And what does that even mean, though? And I think, yes, we often think about Capricorn being about self-discipline, about showing up and doing the hard thing, about that consistency, right? And that is true, but it's in order to create, healthy self-parenting and healthy self-trust, right? We can't just be a disciplinarian to ourselves. We also have to show up and nourish and nurture our dreams, our dreaming, our free-spiritedness, our inner creative child. This is where we really healthily activate Moon and Capricorn kind of energy, right? We take that focused dedication to showing up to this complex life and showing up even when it's scary, even when it's vulnerable, right? And we allow those skill sets to be applied to our creative voices, to our soul voices, to our soul song. And this moon really speaks to specifically this topic right here. So we have the sun and moon opposing, creating that beautiful full moon in the sky. It is also sextiling, this full moon sextiling Jupiter in Pisces at 2 degrees, and that is gorgeous. So this is a creative, flowing, exploratory, good fortune kind of moon. It's one that can help you kind of envision. What do you want to play with? What do you want to create next? Now, here's the thing. Just a couple days ago, I was feeling really revved up, like I have to do all this stuff, oh my gosh. And so I kept thinking it was getting my emails answered, which I'm always working on keeping on top of, getting, admin stuff done, doing the things that by rote and by cultural standards often are associated with worth, with success, with security. And I kept looking to those things and thinking, well, if I just keep obsessing over these over here, then I'll feel better. But I realized, then I forced myself to sit down and take a breath. And I realized that there was something calling to me. There was something that was calling me that was going to require vulnerability, was going to require taking like a bold step, just moving forward on something that really matters to me, but also means I have to show up fully. And I realized that was the thing that was calling to me. Sometimes, we use the ruse of busy work, of busyness, of the things that are culturally acceptable. Even to this day, after a pandemic, after we've all kind of reassessed, what matters in our lives, right? We still, I think, go to this setting that is, well, if I just do the work that I'm supposed to do, if I just make the phone calls, if I just do the tick the boxes over here, I won't actually have to sit down and hear what it is that's truly calling to me. So I think this full moon may be a time to reflect on that. Is there something that you really want to sign up for, but you're scared to sign up for it? Is there a skill that you really want to learn, but you're scared, like you keep sabotaging it because you're a little scared to be a beginner at that skill? Is there a conversation or a topic you want to explore, and you kind of keep staying busy with your authoritarian inner parent, right? The less functional inner parent that just kind of keeps you in your lane? Or are you supporting yourself and nurturing yourself to take those steps outside of the comfort zone of the familiar, even when it hurts, right? So that's one way that this moon, this full moon in Capricorn, the security-based moon, is going to illuminate us, because it really is true that we can only feel fully safe with ourselves when we're also nourishing our dreams. Because just imagine having a partner, and some of us, I've had a partner like this in the past, having a partner that, when you get excited about a new class or a new project and you're telling them about it and they're just like, I don't think you should do that. It feels awful, right? And why would we do that to ourselves? So that's the first theme. I'm looking at my notes here because I had another theme about this whole concept of security, creativity. And it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about. We so often dichotomize being creative, being free-spirited, taking care of that part of ourselves with, and we pit it kind of against the security-seeking, value-seeking part of ourselves, right? Like these two are have been put in this war against each other culturally, right? One is like the frivolous thing you do in your spare time, and one is the real worthiness of existing in this world. And I think this moon really challenges that concept. I think that being creative and thinking creatively, even about mundane problems, about transportation or how to, get all the things done around the house, thinking in creative ways, thinking in free-spirited ways is one of the ways that life becomes richer and we're actually safer with ourselves. And we're less likely to feel disempowered and less likely to be bitter, tired, heavy. And when we kind of look at this dichotomy and we realize it's not a dichotomy, these things go hand in hand. Somebody who shows up fully to life and to creative practice and to practicing creative thinking from everything from, wildly crazy creative projects that have nothing to do with the mundane to the mundane. I think there's so much magic in the mundane, by the way. It is potent stuff. These things are all working together all the time. And this full moon breaks down the illusion that we have to compartmentalize ourselves into these strange boxes, and that actually, when we allow our creative soul voice to speak, we're more likely to show up for ourselves in all aspects of our life. And so this moon is really a moon to really hear your inner voice, to really hear your soul song. I talk about that all the time. For those of you lovely souls out there who have been with me for a while, I talk about the soul song all the time, and maybe I've been a little vague about it. You can hear it in so many different ways. One of the ways, though, that you do hear it is it's that thing, that idea, that longing, that challenge, that step outside of your comfort zone that you long for. And it's humming in the background all the time. Like, you may be busy. It may be a season of life where you're dealing with moving houses or, juggling a couple jobs or what have you, but there's this thing. And it just doesn't really go away. And even when you tick all the boxes off of everything else in your life and you can look at it from a concrete perspective and say, I'm doing everything right. I have it all perfectly right. Even then, it will still be there sitting, nagging at you. And often I find when we're ignoring that thing. And it doesn't always have to be huge. It can honestly be small, even though it's not small. Nothing is small. It can be a small practice you want to add into your day. It can be signing up for a class. It can be having a vulnerable conversation. It can be asking a question. I don't know. For everybody, it's going to be different. When we ignore that thing, that longing, that peace that just is calling for us, when we ignore the soul song, we're blocking all of our energy, including energy to be practical, including energy to just do the other things that, are a little bit more by rote. We don't selectively block our energy, right? It all gets affected. So this is a really, full moons allow us to illuminate, to see, to let go, to open up, to release blockage around what it is that we're truly being called to. And in this case, I think after this evolution of soul, through eclipse season, through this Mercury retrograde, through a very powerful Gemini season, and as we usher into Cancer season and this full moon, this is a real time to get honest with what it is you really want to spend your time doing. And often it's just that one little first step that is so potent. Let's see what card wants to come out with this conversation. I should mention as well, there are a couple influences that aren't directly touching on this moon, but are happening while this full moon is happening. We have Venus closing out her chapter in Cancer at 27 degrees of Cancer, and we have Pluto opposing it at 26 degrees of Capricorn. So this axis, the Capricorn-Cancer axis, is getting quite lit up during this time, this inner parenting axis. Venus, the goddess of love, facing off against the god of power and wealth and transformation. It's pretty powerful, right? These two are speaking to transformation as a way to deeper self-love. Allowing ourselves to transform is a way to love ourselves and to love our path. So there's a lot of asking here to stop resisting who you're becoming. Stop resisting what it is you're longing to shift, to change, to explore. Justice, very interesting. I find, Justice card, I feel like, is it's got a mystery to it, because it seems so on the nose, right? That it therefore becomes mysterious. Justice is about harmony, rebalancing. And justice, that word and that deeper meaning too has to do with like caring for all of us, right? Like the world, and not just hoarding ourselves away, hoarding our resources away, but sharing, and there being, equity for everyone. So justice goes to a very deep theme in being a human, right? And I think the same goes for our internal systems. We need the balance of, showing up, if like you want to do a creative practice, it's like you got to show up to that creative practice every day. But you also have to allow yourself to be free enough to flow and see what happens, and to mess up, and to make a bad painting and not care, and know that know that that's value, to explore, to play, to practice. Justice speaks to the balancing and the harmonizing between being a beginner, not knowing how to do something very well, and also being willing to keep showing up time and again. I think justice speaks to the inner balancing between the wild free-spiritedness and the feeling safe with our inner parenting systems that will hold us at the end of the day, hold us no matter what, hold us even if we make a bad painting or we don't speak our new language very well. These are themes that I am working with. Those are some of my major learning curves at the moment, is my language learning and my painting projects. Yes, there's some interesting days where it just is not going the way that my mind would like it to go. I'm having to learn the messy way, and I'm appreciating it. I think justice also speaks to that false dichotomy I was talking about, and how we need to bring these two together. We need to stop pitting our inner parent, our inner father, our inner dictator against our free-spirited, wild child. These two are meant to be working together, and when they're in a war, when they're in a dichotomy, when they are facing off against each other, they're both dysfunctional. And when they come together, when they're working together, it develops more love in ourselves. And I think that's exactly what this full moon is all about. It is a visionary moon, despite the fact that it's based in a sign that's often associated with deep security. But that's the thing. We are going to feel our most secure when we are okay with looking within, when we are okay with hearing our full selves. We're not going to feel secure if we are constantly belittling the part of ourselves that is a bit wild and a bit curious and wants to go try that new thing and wants to be a beginner. So we really want to give it time here to grow and mend. And here's the other thing. I think justice speaks to a clarity of mind during this full moon, a clarity of vision, a clarity of seeing, a clarity of knowing. So if you have been feeling foggy, if you have been feeling a little overwhelmed over the last month or 6 weeks as we've been working through some of these energies, this full moon is going to be much more about clear vision, clear seeing, clear sight. Clear understanding of how you've changed and grown, and clear ways to move forward. And I love that about this. Yeah. Oh, and you all know I am going through the learning right along with you, always. I'm going to be doing a beautiful activation for this full moon over on Patreon, and probably talking a little bit more about my creative journey and where I'm hitting roadblocks. So if you want to hang out with me, we're going to have a great time for this full moon, closer to the time that it's happening. Love to see you there. We're also going to be closing out Mercury retrograde over there with some great worksheets and journaling exercises. You can also find me on my website and my Instagram. I would love to see you in any and all of those places, my friends. I love you so much, and it's been so much fun to sit down and talk about a full moon that offers a lot of support, but also a lot of brutal honesty, I would say, about where we are maybe averting our eyes from the true things we want to be learning and growing into, where we want to throw our shoulders back and be proud and be seen, and how scary it is to emerge from the cocoon. Emerging from the cocoon is its own vulnerable process, and it asks for a showing up before we feel ready, right? So often we have to show up for the things we want before we feel ready, because it's outside of our comfort zone. So I love you all so much. I hope to see you in all of these places. Please like and subscribe and hang out with me. I'm going to do a coffee and chat soon too, and I would love to know what questions are coming up for you about my journey, about what you'd like to know about, whatever it may be. So I hope you'll leave me a comment. Let me know how you are feeling after this eclipse season, and I will talk to you all so soon.